That belongs in a museum.
Druid, I know the druids can do anything, let's be honest, but...
Wow, that opening hand, that is... one Tunnel Trog is usually you're feeling really good. Now, Sottle, you look like you just want to say something. What's on your mind?
I was about to say, you made the point early on that this is one of the decks that players really feel like has a chance to win any matchup, and it's very, very true. It is one of those decks that just tries to curve out and be asking the questions instead of giving the answers. And even in a bad matchup, Tunnel Trogs on 1 and Doomhammer on 5 can get a lot of work done.
I'm just going to point out one thing. One Tunnel Trog is good. Chalky's afraid of the number 2, and Nostam has 2 Tunnel Trogs right now. I mean, that's... I don't know what to call it other than unlucky, awful.
Continuing the fear of 2, a pretty good 2-drop has just come down to follow this up. So 2 Tunnel Trogs followed by the Totem Golem for 2 mana, buffing both Trogs up to 2 attack. Chucky sat on the other side
Chucky's
going, no,
nightmare.
The number is happening.
Chucky's one.
But he also might have in the back of his mind that maybe he needs to play a minion next turn to be able to fight onto the board that way, because he also has 2 5-drops going into his 5-mana turn next turn. So he's going to have to find a way he wants to ration this out. It looks like he is going to go for the removal line. This potentially sets up a keeper next turn. A Living Root Straw would be great to go with it. And if these Tunnel Trogs don't get buffed too much...
The number 2!
It's going to haunt Chalky's nightmares.
Much.
Yeah, well played. Obviously, different too. Same principle, though. And Chalky continues to be in a really bad spot. And as you said, he can Keeper the Grove here to get rid of one of these Tunnel Trogs. Innervate comes out. Do you guys think it really makes much of a difference having the ability to have 7 mana?
It could. You could Keeper of the Grove on one of the Trogs and then Innervate Wrath. You float a mana, but you get rid of 6 damage on board, which is nice. The Azure Drake Innervate Wrath for 2 damage on one of the Trogs is also really nice. Or you could even just go ahead and kill off the Totem Golem, but yeah, it looks like he's going to get the draw. Go ahead and kill off one of those Trogs, which represents more damage than the Golem in the long run.
Right, it represents more potential damage, and the extra health on the Trog doesn't matter too much because the Drake is there to challenge it anyway if it lives, so getting rid of the potential damage of the Tunnel Trog seems more reasonable there. Does pick up an Ancient of Law, which the way of this game is going is not going to be used to draw cards in this matchup, if he even has time to play it at all. But he's still got a lot of work to be done here.
Right, and I want to point out, Aggro Shaman is a deck that really needs to get control of the board early and kind of battle for the board in like the first 4 or 5 turns. That's when it can sustain the board and then kind of look to win with either the Doomhammer or the spells chained together. But Nostam is just an embarrassment of riches when it comes to the early board presence. And Druid, which is usually very much predicated on getting out a quick thing with Innervate, something like Shredder, something like Dr. Boom. He's been off the board the whole time. He just has. This will be the first time he's had anything on the board because he's been forced to play so defensively.
Right, it's the first time he's had anything on the board that can't be just immediately contested, but there we see Nostam is in fact also running the Flame Tongue Totem, which is a card that Chucky very much evangelized in his qualification through the North American prelims. Said of the cards, it had the highest win rate of any card in the deck when he tested. Nostam obviously agrees, he's running the Flame Tongue Totem as well, and you can see it here, essentially 2 mana Cora Elite, 4 damage added.
In depth as they know now, but in the back of his head, he had to be thinking this is a possibility, and it's sort of getting back at him. It's what he didn't want to see at this point.
Important he cleared out that Flame Tongue Totem. If he had not, with the Golem coming down, it would have been, I believe, 1-off lethal there, but still just so much damage. And he does have a clear board finally, but
that's it. That's the draw.
That is going to be it. And Chalky is going to go ahead and go down 0-2 in this as Nostam takes the second game off the back of just... Bro, did he draw a single spell?
We did not see a single spell that game. It was every minion, pretty much every minion that the Shaman has, and no spells, no Doomhammer. Right, strictly on minion damage.
If you haven't seen Aggro Shaman before, it's really heavily predicated on spells. Cannot stress that enough. Crackles, Lava Shocks, there's even